What is going on, everybody? My name is Japes. Welcome back. Another episode in the Treble as we slowly try to progress. We're going to continue on training. We have finally passed through deadline day, though the end of January. Well, actually, it was February 1 this time around, but that's okay. Best piece of business. Probably Manchester City's capture of Mr. Josep Pep Guardiola from Bayern Munich. It seems to be official at this point, and I will absolutely wish him all the best. Loved having him at Bayern, but respect when it's time to move on and look for a different challenge. And some of you guys are like, has Pep ever really had a challenge? He went from Barcelona to Bayern, and now he's going to City. Could you really consider any of that to be a challenge? And when he took over Barcelona, though, I believe they'd been trophyless for 2 years before that. So he was definitely asked to come in and do some things, and he did it there. Bayern will have a shot at the treble this year, so hopefully, fingers crossed, all things will go well with that. It'll obviously be a difficult road. Bayern brought in Serdar Tashi, who's really a slightly above mediocre center back, so he's really just cover for our super injury-prone back line at this point in time. Though Kimmich played a little CB recently, and he didn't actually look too bad. Big fan of the young Kimmich. But Pep will be moving on to City, and that instantly sparked Yaya Touré's agent to come out and say, you know what? Yaya's gone in the summer. He does not like Pep, and those two will not get along. But I think Pep's going to be fine with that, and I think a lot of City fans will probably be fine with that as well. In fact, I'd be shocked if there were a vast majority of fans that said, you know what, I'd absolutely love to keep the young Yaya. And I think that boils down to he's I think he's past his prime. He's kind of aging. His work ethic or willingness to kind of go hard for the team has come into question lately. And Pep, one thing that he does do well is he inspires players to kind of kick it up to the next gear. That's, Douglas Costa has come out and said, I learned more in 5 hours with Pep than I did with, in 5 years at Shakhtar or whatever, however the quote is, but he's obviously been able to turn things up to a new level. Manchester City rumored to be giving him a £150 million transfer kitty to go out and get the players that he wants to get. So it is going to be an absolutely fascinating summer when it comes to transfer windows. We're slowly progressing through November on the screen right now, closing in on our own January transfer window for the 2016 transfer window, and things are progressing nicely. We're not doing too badly. We're in contention for a automatic promotion spot right now, which is where we're close to contention for an automatic. We're in contention. It's only November. And that's really where we want to be. And you've got to remember, we've got a few young players coming up and our squad's progressing. They're getting better. Their ratings are going up, which is what we want. As it's going to make things easier. Well, not easier for us, but it's going to give us a better chance to progress as our young players get better and better and better. And we're working through the academy. Managed to get a goal there from Burgess to make it 2-1 in this one. Big win there versus Carlisle. On the topic of players with debatable work ethic, another good piece of business from the transfer window is that Stoke, the Potters, have captured Gianella Imbula from Porto. And I've got to hand it support. I mean, Porto, absolutely, when it comes to doing good business, Porto has got to be like right up in the top 5 clubs. They managed to sign Imbula over the summer from Marseille, and Marseille probably would have loved to have kept him, but he was a promising young French talent, and they have had some financial troubles. So he's going to be one of the players that drives your biggest price tag, and so sometimes you just have to cash in. That's what business dictates. That's what the numbers dictate. The finances are not always friendly. But they managed to sell him on, and then lo and behold, Porto comes in and managed to sell him for a profit. And he has not been that great for Porto. Unbelievably, he's got all the tools in the chest to be a world-class midfielder in my mind. But At Porto, I don't watch a lot of Portuguese football, but I will pop in and read some articles. And when the transfer went through, I went back and did a lot of reading on this guy to see how he's been doing at Porto. And really, Porto fans, for the most part, are like, this guy's kind of a bum and hasn't really been that great for us, bar the Champions League games or against the other top Portuguese league sides. So he wants, Mbula apparently is a bit of a prima donna, and he thinks that he looked at Porto kind of as a stepping stone. Now, as Inter and Porto, that were the two clubs kind of battling it out for him over the summer, and Porto offered more money, so that's where he went. If we an Inter, I don't know, we might be talking about him in a different light. Maybe he wouldn't be a Potter at this point. Mark Hughes has a long-running history of taking some challenging personality types and getting the best out of them. You can look at like Arnautovic as a primo example. He was all sorts of all over the place in the Bundesliga, and the talent there was undeniable, but the mental game and his work ethic really questionable. Now, Stoke fans, you're going to have to keep your fingers crossed that they can, Arnautovic has 18 months left on his current contracts. You're going to have to keep your fingers crossed that they can go ahead and get that deal sorted out, but it looks like Arnautovic has some seriously high aspirations and wants to move to a very top club. And with that said, Stoke has a history of selling on players when they want to leave and they have a year left on their contract. So I think Begovic would be the most recent example. He didn't want to re-sign. He had a year left on his contract. They had to go ahead and cash in or else let him go on a free, which is just bad business. And I love talking about this sort of thing while going through this series because this is, the simulation part's fun and it gives you something to look at, but I love talking real footy with you guys, and I love the comments and the questions and all things that are good in the comment sections down below. We're going to have to make some changes to the squad here, and due to injuries, we're going to have to do a little shuffling. But we've got Deslantis, who is our scout future star, world-class French holding midfielder, much like the young Mbou. Well, maybe he'll be up there someday. But he's got the world-class potential, and he's wearing the number 13 for us. 64 rated, I believe, right now. So he definitely has a starting spot. I'm going to be looking for him to be close to probably 70 rated by the end of this season, which is a huge boost to the midfield. And really will set us up nicely to hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, if we can get promoted. But results like this against Yeovil, 3-1, only 80 minutes in, and then popping in the fourth one. McNulty getting the hat trick. Bennett getting the fourth goal, but McNulty with a hat trick in this game. Big things. It'll let us hopefully challenge for a spot in the well, not necessarily automatic promotion, because that seems greedy to go from getting promoted in the League 2 to automatic promotion in the League 1 on into the championship. That seems greedy, but I think it's possible if we can get the right players out of the academy. So the summer window, the next go-around, is going to be a big deal, or maybe even January. It's going to be tricky to cash in on some of our players that are in good form, or maybe cash in. I don't know. It's up in the air. But keep enough players to get us promoted, because we need to get more scouts out there so we can start bringing in that young talent, developing it, and then, the process goes on. You kind of sell and you buy and you sell and you buy and you develop and you create this business. Another interesting thing in the realm of football that I read an article on, I think it's the Pozza family own Udinese, Watford, and Granada. So they own 3 clubs, and it's just really, if you go back and look at some of the transfers and kind of the merry-go-round, it's really funny. I can't remember the player that was brought in to Watford from Udinese this time around, but I believe he was just straight away loaned on over to Granada. And it's something with like work permits and switching around the wages, the finances. But it's really funny to think about, your potential kind of owning 2 clubs. And there are a couple people people out there in the world that do own 2 clubs. I'm trying to think of the other ones, and it just makes it easier transferring players between the 2 if that was the case. But I am surprised that there aren't more kind of you've got it with Barca B and Barca, but that's a bit of a different situation. But it's, Barca B, you get all these young, wonderful, talented players from the academy, and when you're ready to go, they're just promoted on up. There's no reason that wouldn't necessarily be the case if you own two clubs for, I don't know, it's crazy to think about, because really it could be a completely entrepreneurial adventure. And look at things like the Real Oviedo, where you can get shares in it and that sort of thing. And how would that work if you got enough shareholders together to go out and buy I don't know. These are all fun, fascinating things to think about for me. As we progress, we get another batch of players, and they're really not looking that great. Though Daniel Heath right there, I looked at him, and because he's 17 and he's already rated kind of highly, he'll provide nice cover for the goalkeeper position. I was a little bit bummed we let Tilson go. That was a bit of a mistake, not good, because he looked like he could have been quite a little player. And sometimes, early on, I think it's best to wait a little bit, because I've got two schools of thought. Wait a little bit. Make sure you bring in top players, because you don't want them on the wages if they're not going to turn out to be a player that you'd hope they'd be. On the other hand, turn them out, buy them, let them progress a little bit, sell them on. You maybe make a little bit of money on them, and then what does it even matter? But I try to keep it a little bit more, not just to generate a bunch of finances that way. Promoting a player and then selling them on the next season. I'm trying to get players in that I can promote to the first team that'll eventually get us to the treble, take over the world. I believe it's possible. I certainly do. And it is a fun process to get there. I also love kind of the general commentary style of this series. Like I'm sure you guys can hear it in my voice, but I truly enjoy chattering on and running my mouth about these sort of things that are football or footy related. Now, with that said, or on that topic, you guys might not always agree with me, and that is A-okay. I am so down with that. That's what makes the world go around, all the different opinions. And so somebody might say, Japes, Yaya Toure is the greatest thing to ever have happened to Manchester City. And if he leaves, I will be utterly devastated, as will the slightly less than packed Etihad Stadium. I'm kidding. Well, sort of kidding. The Emptyhad. I've heard the rumors. I've heard the nicknames. So I know what's up, City fans. Pep will fill the seats. Don't you worry. It'll be an attractive style of football, and the fans will want to get in there. And that's where we're going to come to a close. Hopefully we'll get more fans for Pompey as we progress. I want to thank you all very much for watching. My name is Japes, and I will catch you all next time.